Genae Girard, and I'm the creator of Beyond the Booby Trap. And as you guys know, I'm really about continuing education and really trying to move forward, especially after treatment when you feel like you're stuck. And I'm here with Michelle Robin, who I'm so happy to be with. And she's all about wellness and love all of the stuff that she's doing. So I wanted to interview her for you guys and get a feel for what's out there and, you know, what's available as far as moving forward through treatment. So welcome. I appreciate you talking with us.
Thanks, Genae. It's nice to be here in beautiful San Antonio with you.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you've started with your business?
Well, what I've started is just trying to reconnect people back to themselves. And I find that through my journey of wellness, you know, I'm just like everybody else trying to stay well. And what I found is the farther I get from who I really am, the sicker I get, or the disconnected, or the disease. And so what I do is I just try to remind people that they have all the tools and just they need to use them and utilize them. And how can they utilize them in a more simplistic way?
Well, where is your business?
I have a company called Your Wellness Connection, and we're in the Kansas City metro area on the Kansas side, as people always wonder. And but we also do a lot of outreach through our book called Wellness on a Shoestring, inspiring people to make those simple changes.
Wellness on a Shoestring. How can people find your book?
They can go to Amazon.com, RainyDayBooks.com. They can follow us on Facebook at Wellness on a Shoestring, and they can also email me. We can get them hooked up.
Well, our particular group, as you know, we've all been through some form of treatment. You know, some of us have been through surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, and to be honest with you, when we come out of it, we just feel so beaten down. You know, we just feel like we're exhausted, we don't have any energy. What would you say to somebody that's coming out of all of that type of treatment? I mean, what are the best ways to try to move forward and steps that they can take to try to get back to a new way of normal living?
Well, I think there's probably many steps, and the step that really comes to mind about sharing today would be just to recognize and grieve what you've been through, whether it's a mastectomy or a hysterectomy, whatever. We all have these body parts, and we think that they don't have an energy to them or emotion to them. And I think would be acknowledge that you've lost a piece of yourself, and then also honor that it can be replaced with some other things. So I'd say number one, don't negate the energetical piece of your own healing. Mm-hmm. Would be one of the first things I think I see a lot of people, you know, they hear about mechanical and they hear about some of the different chemical things they can do and some of the spiritual things, but there's this piece of energy medicine and acknowledging it. I love some hands-on therapy, you know, whether it's some type of Reiki or Lomi massage, something to, once again, reconnect all the pieces back together.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, is grieving what you've lost. I think a lot of us internalize that, and it's so self-destructive in so many ways that, you know, we forget about it, or we don't feel like we have the ability to do that because everybody's depending on us as part of the family member or the person that's looking after the kids or the corporate person. You know, they all see us as the superhero, and to show weakness is sometimes, you know, considered negative. So it's a really good point.
Well, and I think what we're finding, or what I'm finding in my own life, in my own journey, is that weakness is a sign of strength. Because if I could show you the vulnerability side of me, then it gives you permission to show you. And we can build on top of each other. Yeah. And just really realize that, you know, we come in with nothing, we leave with nothing except our experiences, our relationships, and also the relationship with this physical body. And I believe that when you value this physical body, you take care of it differently. And I know you have heard me say this multiple times. Once you start healing your heart, your body will really take you along the experience of healing all the other things you need to do. Because I believe that a lot of us know that we probably should not drink a lot of alcohol, eat a lot of sugar, eat a lot of processed foods, drink soda, but yet we still do it. Several of us still do it on a day in, day out basis because we're not acknowledging the real reasons why we're overeating or overindulging.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point. Well, what would you say about healing the heart? I mean, what steps does somebody move toward to try to heal their heart, would you say? What are the most important things?
Well, I believe that first of all, we all need a wheel of support. And we're the hub of our own journey, us and our spirit. And we need a support system, whether it's our chiropractor, massage therapist, our medical doctor, oncologist, and maybe it's a counselor. I think everybody needs a good talk story, somebody that can sit down and say, gosh, you know what, here's what's happening inside my heart. And somebody that can really get us aware. Because I think so many of us are numb. We're just walking around in this numb state or joyless state. I had breakfast this morning with somebody, and we were doing a kind of a wellness consult. They had called me and asked me if I'd help them. And I just had to be really pretty honest and, you know what, here's the real deal. There's all this chemical stuff you can do, but the bottom line is you have no joy. Until you can find joy, you're not going to do all this stuff. And he was kind of just looked at me like, this is to a guy, and business guy at that. And so you can imagine the reception, but it was real. And so some of the steps I know that I've taken in my life, because I've been walking around dead just like everybody else, and so the reason I'm qualified on this journey is not because of my credentials, but it's because of my life experience. And so in that, I've gotten aware of the patterns of all or none, not good enough, people pleaser, obsessive compulsive, perfectionism, and starting to realize that they really don't serve me for my greatest good. Sometimes they do. As a perfectionist, as a physician, it could really serve you well as long as you're able to use that pattern to your good and not to your detriment. Right. So number one is awareness. And then I work with a group called the Hoffman process. Have you heard of it?
No.
And there's many ways to this path. My path is through the Hoffman process, and they have a 4-stage process. You get aware of what's stopping you, and that's probably about 70% of it. And then you start to have a cathartic experience where you bash it, you get the energy out of your body, and then you start to defend it. So in my case, I had 3 stepfathers, and some drama and trauma as a kid, and the way that shaped who I am now, I could let it negatively impact me. Whether it's abandonment issues,
Sure.
not caring for yourself, obsessive compulsive, that people pleasing, or I could recycle it, which is their 4th step. After I've defended it, I could recycle it and say, you know what? All those experiences made me who I am today, and I have faith that our Creator chose that path for me so I could be my best self.
Wow.
And
That's
so,
powerful. That's very powerful. It's like it's taking the negatives and using them to your advantage, because they do shape who we are. But rather than staying in a victim mentality, it's really about taking accountability and using them to your advantage. So that's a great way to look at it. Well, I've signed up for one of your programs. I'm not sure exactly what to expect, but I'm doing it on a leap of faith. So what would I expect going through some of your programs and what you guys do, to share with our listeners what is possible,
Well, I have a couple of different things. Your Wellness Connection is kind of one-on-one treatment, or we do some group stuff. For instance, some of the treatment I get there, I've created this center based on what I need to be well. And so as I looked at it with different eyes, almost 20 years later, I'm like, wow, I use chiropractic care, I use massage care, I use energy medicine, acupuncture, life coaching, nutrition coaching, yoga, fit camp. And so I guess selfishly I've created a center that supported my wellness. Sure. Some might say it's a little bit of a costly endeavor, but you know what, it's definitely well rewarded in the heart. So that's what I do on a day in, day out basis. One of my passions, though, is to ignite and remove the baggage. So once you start to become aware, then you have all this stuff on you that's no longer you. The stuff that I always call it the throw up. People get that as a physician. People come in, and probably as an entrepreneur too, people come in and they kind of throw up all over you. Here's what's going on with me today. And we've got to protect ourselves so we don't carry that and let it go. And so at the retreat that I'm real passionate about is we're able to take people through a 4-day experience where they learn some of their patterns and some of their personality traits that keep them stuck. And we teach them about, of course, yoga and exercise and nutrition, all that stuff that we talk a lot about in America about being well. But what we really do is we take them through something that's called Lomi Lomi. And Lomi Lomi is basically massage with your spirit or with your soul. And we remove the throw up 3 days in a row so that you start to really get in touch with your true essence.
Sounds like you may feel like a rebirth or renewed.
I would say probably renewed or rebirth, whichever word you want to use. And you just have clarity. You come out there with clarity of who you are and who you're not.
Yeah.
And I would say that clarity is just as important of who you're not as who you are, because we have the belief of sometimes we have the thoughts that we are this type of person when we're really not.
Yeah. That's amazing. You know, I think that how that really relates to a breast cancer person that's recovering, a veteran, is that we understand that we need change. Many times we come out of treatment and we just say, this is not working. You know, I've got the stress in my life. I understand I cannot go back to the way I was. You know, I understand that I can't participate in life the way that I was. And they're looking for change and they're excited about change, but they're not exactly sure what steps to start the process. So this sounds like a wonderful, wonderful way to, you know, get on board and start moving towards a healthier way of life.
Well, I believe there's not very many things like it in the country, just because my emphasis, even though I'm a wellness person, it's not on, I believe nutrition is super important, and I believe exercise is super important, and sleep. But what I really believe is you've got to free your space. You've got to free yourself of the chains that bind you so that you can really get authentic and real. And we get authentic and real if you get the C word that comes at you, or the divorce word, or the you're fired word. All of a sudden you know who you are, so it doesn't shake your foundation. So you're more rooted in, kind of like a big oak tree. There can be a storm that comes, but it's so rooted in that it may lose a few limbs or branches, but it knows who it is. It knows who it is at the core. And that's what I want to really help people to know who they are.
That's a great analogy. Well, tell everybody how to get in touch with you. So what is your website?
It's yourwellnessconnection.com. You could also follow me on Facebook at yourwellness.com or Wellness on a Shoestring.
And what is the phone number?
913-962-7408.
Thank you so much. All
Thank you for having me.
my listeners will appreciate hearing what you have to say, and I really appreciate you reaching out to my group, and I'm sure it's going to be beneficial. So I really appreciate it, and I totally look forward to taking your class.
March 2nd. Hey, well, how about if we close on one of my new friends from Gently Spoken Communications. We got this card today as a gift in our wonderful workshop.
Yep.
It says, open yourself to love and being loved. You'll never forget the feeling.
Perfect.
So just breathe that in and fall back in love with your magnificence.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.